Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark Amove TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Welcome back, everyone. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm, soon to be Heroes of the Storm 2.0. I'm Garrett Weinzierl. I am joined today, as always, by Kyle Fergusson, and as always, once a month, by Mr. Jeff Cannata. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Very excited to be here today. This is yet another big week for Heroes.
Yeah, it just, at a certain point, you just need, and it's a typical week in Heroes with so many news items that we're not going to have a strategy or an email section this week because this is probably about an hour talk right here. Goodness gracious.
It's exciting. It's a great time to be into this game. It's a great time for people to jump into the game. It seems like Blizzard is really pushing all their chips into the center of the table right now, and that's exciting for people like us that love the game already.
No, 100%. It's slightly less exciting considering the questionable quality of teammates I've had this week, but other than that,
yeah, same.
We're gonna have to live with it.
Yeah,
I avoided Hero League so far this week. I will be making a venture for the entertainment factor in there tomorrow on stream, but it is probably not the best time to be tactically interested in this game.
I like your choice of words. It's a good choice of words, Kyle.
Right, play something that you're practicing, figure things out, but there's a lot of neutral skins running around. There's a lot of, it seems like returning players, certainly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've been experiencing this alone in my own games, but Kyle, you and I got to experience this together yesterday alongside TBK.
Yeah, we ventured into 3-stack Team League, and for some reason or another, it decided that my MMR plus you two need to be balanced out by double bronze going into diamonds.
Yep.
And it was a humbling experience. We got very yelled at by these two players who didn't understand what we were doing with the map and how we were interacting. I've seen a lot of people they're taking a boss, and I'm all by myself. I gotta at least try to make something happen, but it's 15 minutes in the game. You're gonna be dead for 45 seconds, and nothing's gonna happen in there. So self-control is paramount right now.
Yeah. So, and Jeff, I hope you always take this the right way. Like, we're legitimate. We want a report, man. You're like our man. You're our boots on the ground, in lower leagues, and you're the resident lower leaguer. How do you handle this? How do you handle this, man? Because I know you have a solid understanding of the game too, so you must see these mistakes being made. But I'm assuming you see it a lot more often than I do. Like, how do you...
Yeah, it's rough, man. And I'm glad you guys are getting that perspective because I listen to this show weekly and I love it. But so much of the perspective, unfortunately, it's like, God, I wish everybody that I played with listened to the show because you can't...
Yeah.
You can't deal with obstinate very often. And the problem is that people at a certain level... they have this weird inverse proportion of belief they know what they're doing to actually knowing what they're doing, and there's so much to know, and you guys have been talking about this recently in the last few episodes. The breadth of knowledge, because each map is different, is so intense, and so few people in the lower leagues are willing to do that or care enough to do it. That you run into that a lot, where even just sort of common sense advice that you think everybody should know is met with like, that is the stupidest idea. No, we should all run. Why wasn't my team here with me? Well, 4 of us were in one place and you were in another place. So maybe you're the person that should be looking in the mirror about where you were on the map. But I mean, there's a lot of little things too that really, really frustrate me in lower leagues. Like, there's a complete lack of understanding about how to draft. Just off the surface of it. No one will take anyone's advice in draft. It is a miracle when you find a team that will communicate in draft and actually build a team that makes any sense whatsoever, because everybody just wants to play the hero that they want to play, and you can't get any level of communication. And I have tried so many different ways. I want to get to one of those ways shortly. But and then in the games, like, just knowing that a silver player is going, as Zarya, is going to rush into a fight, put that shield up, and start splashing damage at you. And all you have to do as a team is wait like 3 seconds till that shield goes away and then destroy Zarya. But does anybody do that? No. They just attack, and give her, give her ammo, give her attack power.
Yeah.
And no, type, guys, don't attack Zarya when the shield's up. No one listens. No one has any awareness of that. And there are certain heroes that when I see come up on my team, and if I know a player can play that hero, I know we're going to win because no one in that league knows how to deal with them.
Okay, so you're tapping into a point I was going to ask, because I mean, at the end of the day, at least it's equal playing field, right? The other team probably doesn't know how to draft either, and if you take the Zarya, the other team's probably not going to know to wait.
Right. Yeah, or if you get a Probius on your team, no one has any clue how to deal with Probius. It is like an instant win. We got Probius, and if this person knows how to play that character, the other team has no clue how to deal with it. No one attacks the pylons. No, and it doesn't matter how often I type those things. Everybody's attacking Johanna. She runs in and puts up her unstoppable immediately. Like, people just like run in and put up that thing immediately. It's like, no, just wait half a second, please. Just wait half a second until that wears off, and then destroy them. It's fine. You can attack the tank when they're vulnerable. Anyway,
it's so funny because when people start talking about like zombie apocalypse, particularly about 5 years ago, every single nerd acknowledges or promotes that they would be awesome in that situation. They figure it out. They get their supplies. They'd have a sweet base. But all I can see when I'm either driving in Florida or playing Heroes is people are insane.
Hey now, that's just mean.
And they're the exact kind of people that are going to do I got to get out of here, man, and run out the door. And we're all like, no, don't. And they break the alarm and the zombies go off and they die in seconds and we have to run for it.
I mean, that would be our Sylvanas we played with earlier, but I will defend my home state saying, you say that now, Kyle, but when it does happen, Florida's going to be the only place still breathing. Be prepared for this.
Yeah, but what kind of world is that do you want to live in?
I'm going to make Walt Disney World my damn castle, my actual fortified castle, so I'm looking forward to it personally.
And you'll just have an animatronic family. It'll be great.
It'll be great. It'll be absolutely wonderful. What was that, Country Bear Jamboree? Thanks. Thanks for the compliment.
But I have employed a new strategy that I would like to pass on to the listeners. And it has worked remarkably well. I went to Heroes of the Dorm a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if you guys happened to see this part of the stream, but there was a moment when they interviewed one of the players' families. Like, they're making a very wholesome event. These college kids are competing, and they bring their whole family there, mom and dad and their siblings. And one of them was this 10-year-old younger brother of one of the players. And they're like, do you have any advice for your brother? He's about to go into his first, Final Four match or Heroic Four match. Do you have any advice for him? And the little kid like leans into the mic and he goes, stay positive and don't die. And I was like, that is the greatest advice in the history of MOBAs. And I have completely turned it into my mantra. And I type it at least 4 times before we start a match. And I swear to God, since coming back from Heroes of the Dorm, first of all, before I left for Heroes of the Dorm, I dropped 2 ranks. I had an awful losing streak.
Cool.
It was horrible. After I came back from Heroes of the Dorm, I went 12-3 using that strategy.
Whoa.
Just stay positive, don't die.
Wow.
It's amazing how people just simple 2 things to do. There's only 2 things. Let's just break it down and make it as simple as possible. Stay positive, don't die. And it's worked out pretty well, guys.
Well, okay. All right. First of all, I missed that. And that kid is my hero.
Right?
Like, just get that out of the way. Secondly, you're tapping into something I think I've mentioned before, and which is why I'm so excited for voice chat to come to Heroes, because my one strategy, I have no strategy for Overwatch. It's not the game that I have any real knowledge of how to win properly in. My one strategy in Overwatch is get in voice comms, get people talking, get people palling around, get people laughing before the game starts. Because if you like each other, even a little, even if someone in there is like a little salty, you kind of roll with it, you riff off their saltiness, and you get them laughing, you're gonna win. You're gonna win because you're gonna be watching out for the dude standing next to you. It's gonna be great.
I honestly think that in the lower leagues, it is like 80% psychology. It is which team cracks first, and if you can, even if you lose that first scrum in the middle lane of a map in the first couple of minutes, that is the danger zone. You're in danger zone. You're about to lose your team. Everybody's fragile. If we lose, we die. First death. We're on the verge of collapse. But if you can keep the positivity going and rally back, that right there is the biggest win you can have.
I love it. I love it.
Well said.
Thank you so much for bringing that in. I love every time you're on the show, because we always hear after you've been on from so many folks who are gold and below. They're just like, oh, thank God you had Jeff on again. Finally, someone that knows my plight.
I'm down in it, man.
Yeah. So thank you
down
for
in the trenches, baby.
Thank you. Like, a lot of nerds aren't comfortable even admitting that kind of stuff. A lot of people like, no, I won't tell you what my league is, but I'll claim I'm diamond, like that kind of stuff. So it's super awesome.
I definitely think I deserve to be higher, but we'll see. It's gonna happen this season, man. It's gonna happen.
You're gonna
stay positive and not die, and we're gonna do it. It's gonna happen.
I believe in you, Jeff. I believe in you. Well, there is quite a bit of Heroes to discuss, so let's get into this week's news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Put me to the stage.
Click the play button, and let's get started.
So, the second half of things we saw at the summit but weren't allowed to talk about is now out in the open. We're not, electing strategically to not talk about certain things anymore. Everything that we saw at the summit is now out in the open.
And the important thing is we did it, Garrett. We stayed quiet.
Yeah, and guys, this is the first time I've ever been invited to one of these things. This is the first time I had to deal with like an embargo from Blizzard, and every episode for the past multiple weeks, I've just had this mad anxiety that the word Genji or Hanamura was going to slip out of my mouth in casual Heroes conversation. So, hey, Genji has been officially announced. He will be the next hero coming into the Nexus. Hi-yo, there's the name of the show. We both, you and I, Kyle, got to play him quite a bit at the summit, and all of you now can go and play him on the Heroes 2.0 beta. And
to mention that, he is free after you do 3 quick match games.
How did I miss that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they added a quest that gives you enough gems to get Genji, or if you want to buy loot boxes, continue to experiment in there. Of course, purchases you make right now don't carry over, so you won't get Genji on release next week on the 25th.
That's how I missed that then. That's how I missed that. The way you said that, I was like, oh, you get to keep him? That's awesome. Okay, that's all right then. But so what do you think, Jeff? Have you had a chance to play Genji?
Yes, I have. I've spent way more time on the PTR, or I guess we have to call it the beta now, than I ever have before, because it's just so freaking exciting now. And I think it's really cool. Every match that I've queued for in the last few days has been on Hanamura, so I think they're just like, clearly everybody wants to be on this map. Let's just flip a switch and make sure that happens, which is cool. Genji feels like Illidan 2.0, right, guys? He's like
a little bit.
Illidan's Illidan.
It's filling that kind of role like they've done with Vala over the past, and if you lose your auto attacker, you still have this Zul Jinny option, though it's not quite what Vala can do. Very Tracer-like in some ways, completely untracer-like in others, as in his auto attack doesn't lock on. He almost has to clunkily, it feels, stand there and get out his 3 little shurikens before he can move again.
Yeah. But when he does move, he can flippity flop all around that map, man. And you can talent into even more flippity flops, right?
And the other interesting thing about him is Illidan is auto attack based. Tracer is a good mix, In all reality, Genji will be your choice when you want that same high mobility role with a Tassadar or something, but you want spell damage with it.
That's a good point. Yeah, more damage diversity with Genji being added.
And that really highlights that rock, paper, scissors thing that it seems Blizzard is doing now with the tanks, right? Where it's like, okay, well, we picked a tank to offset this, and it's like, okay, well, then we're going to pick an assassin that's going to counter your tank counter to our first assassin, you know?
Well, that's where it gets interesting, right? And it becomes less black and white of a game of rock, paper, scissors. You have certain things that counter certain things, but also when you start filling similar roles but making it different enough to be worthy to be added to the game, it makes the draft more interesting, because if something like Vala gets banned out, you still have another route to go. In the case of Zul'jin, in Kyle's example.
This character, though, I don't know how you guys feel about him, but I think he's the perfect storm of terrible. Because he's way too cool looking. He flippity flops around the map, which makes people feel like they can do stupid things and get away with it. And he's did I mention he's cool looking? Like, everybody's gonna want to play this dude. There's not gonna be a match where you don't get a Genji for months.
I'm gonna jump in here and force Kyle to bring us back to the Shire, because I'm 100% with Jeff here, especially since, Jeff, you already opened the floodgates at the very top of the show about talking about like the psychology of winning a pickup game.
Right.
And yeah, I think Genji is much like when the Overwatch promotion happened and all of these Overwatch players came over and all they were playing were Ariel and it was just ruining games. I think Genji's going to hit. A bunch more Overwatch players are going to come over. They're going to think they're going to be as awesome in Heroes as in Overwatch. And I've got news for you. Most Genjis I play with in Overwatch are bad at Genji in Overwatch.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to be negative Nancy like that, but go ahead, Kyle.
No, I don't think so. I mean, we were just last week talking about how Nazebo's available because he's doofy. There is absolutely, and this happened in Dota as well, every time there was a Death Knighty character, or someone on horseback, or a guy with a sweet sword, just you couldn't get a hold of him for 2 weeks because everyone wanted to play the guy. I'm equally frightened for other reasons, because I know in my league that there'll be some restraint, but the evolving shield meta, we'll talk about the Tassadar nerf in a little bit, but the evolving shield meta with Zarya, Tassadar, those are the top two bans in my league right now. And Tracer is getting first pick in many instances, and then she just goes, guys, everything on me. And her damage is insane because she's enabled by all these shields. There's no good targeting because we're all solo queue, so we can't coordinate getting to the back line, so everyone's pumping everything into Tracer or the tank, and Tracer's invincible with this repeat shield going on. I think Genji will be very much the same way. I think his mobility, particularly on his Swift Strike, is so huge that he will mess up a lot, end up behind walls accidentally for the first week.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that was happening when we were playing him on the build at the Summit. I like where your head's at. I think this is a hero that you want to empower. You can make up for his weakness in that way. And in Heroes, you have, I think, a lot more options to make up for his weaknesses than, say, in a game like Overwatch. And to shift the conversation into what I am just so damn impressed with is something I continue to be impressed with, which is Team One's ability to translate heroes from Overwatch into Heroes of the Storm seamlessly. He feels like Genji. Even though he has
even maps from, I mean, we'll get to that, but like, how crazy is that a maps can feel the same?
It does not feel the same to me at all. Hanamura is not a payload map, first and foremost, and it's a very different layout, but it looks the same. It's gorgeous. They've 100% captured the essence of Overwatch's style, and yet still made it, jive with everything happening in Heroes of the Storm. It looks like it belongs in this game, which is super impressive.
The thing that scares me the most is all the hot press that Dragonblade, his first heroic, is getting from pro players. And it frightens me because for 8 seconds, you activate, whip out your Dragonblade, Overwatch down, you get these big ol' sweeping spell damage strikes.
Yep.
You only do about a third more damage than you would just auto-attacking the guy. But these are big sweeping strikes. They're doing area effect damage. So the dream, of course, is 5 people in a mosh pit and you're just slicing them to pieces.
Yeah.
In all reality, people are going to hit the game Tuesday and go, pro said I should do this. But it's kind of a monk situation. Are you that good at Palm in the first place? Because otherwise you should probably go 7-sided strike just to bail on problems that are going to come up.
Well,
X strike leaps you into the air, breaks roots on you, and lets you have Illidan-like mobility and metamorphosis. It's a lot easier. And I'm really afraid of these Dragon Blade Genjis being like, where's my shields, bro? At the end of every fight after they died.
Right. That's the thing. I don't necessarily think Dragon Blade even comes down to how good are you with it. I think it comes down to how good is your team at empowering you when you use it. I mean, there's definitely a timing thing. There's a time when you should use it, and during a wombo like Mosh Pit, like Graviton Surge, something of that nature, is the time. But 8 seconds is a very long time to be hanging out and chilling as this particular hero in a fight.
But he screams, and there's a dragon flying around him, and it's very loud, and it is so stunnable. Like, people across the map will just go, oh, Genji, let's get him. It's like when you hear the Varian scream, and everyone just goes, oh, Varian's dead.
Yep. That happened to us in a game today. But I back to your point, Kyle, I completely understand why pros are excited, because if you're coordinated, Dragon Blade is going to be extremely cool. I would recommend X-Strike in your pickup games. In your first week with this hero, go X-Strike. It's a much smaller investment in your fight presence. You're not feeling forced to spend longer than you need to in a team fight to get value out of your heroic.
Am I crazy to think that he feels very similar to Illidan? Almost too similar?
He doesn't feel Illidan-like to me really at all.
No? Okay.
No.
I do see the connection, though, because it's a stickiness, and a Genji who is using his abilities well, particularly taking advantage of Swift Strikes, this big long dash, its ability to reset if you get a kill, he will be highly mobile. However, he's not self-regenerating at all. He doesn't have a single talent other than, of course, deflect, which is kind of a protection thing, which is frightening, and we've all seen Varian last through huge amounts of damage and come out the other side clean.
Right. I guess that is the big difference.
And that does make things interesting, because Varian is able to ride alongside something low healing numbers like Tyrande or Monk if the enemy team's very bursty. If it's all Li Ming kind of damage and it's going to come in one big kind of slow, here it comes, Varian, interrupt it, he's going to be perfectly fine with small amounts of heals. But if the damage is sustained, it'll just keep stacking on him once that protection's over. So that will probably be, in the long run, the way to counter Genji, but it could mean that he only needs a Tassadar by itself, possibly. He'd probably be better off with something, comboed up, of course.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's just because he's more ranged that he is melee. It just doesn't feel Illidan-like to me. But I get the idea, because he's jumping around. He's constantly in front and behind you at different points. To me, he feels like Sheik in Smash Brothers. Jumping all over the place, hitting me with tiny little projectiles, but still getting the job done and murdering me. So.
I see a lot of Illidan's moving on to Genji, of course. And the good thing about that is, you're always looking for this sort of practice trifecta. Either it's barrel rolls from Falstad mixing with Vala's Vault, so you can always have these skills that you're working on. Genji, Tracer, Illidan may very well enhance those, and being good at all three will continue to keep you practiced.
I like that idea. Let's talk a little bit more about the map. So Hanamura is the next battleground that will be coming, and it is a fairly unique battleground. So as we previously mentioned, it looks straight out of Overwatch. Goodness gracious me, the art on this battleground is gorgeous. I'm blown away. It is our... Yes, I think it's just making sure I'm not misspeaking. It is our second battleground with protected cores, a la Towers of Doom. So you cannot directly attack the cores. The only way to damage them would be with escorting your payloads, which is the main objective of this map. That and dying to the boss.
Which a lot of people have. I've seen that's definitely happening.
Yes. Yeah, that
It is a donut.
The boss ate your friend. It's like, oh, okay.
Yep. It's very interesting. So I think we should probably talk about payloads. So they spawn for both teams, basically simultaneously. So the first set of payloads spawn for each team at 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the match, and then they keep coming. They periodically spawn throughout the rest of the game. They have a predetermined path that they follow they follow across. There is more than one path in the game, so you can have multiple payloads up at the same time. It works exactly like Overwatch. If you played a payload map, you stand near them to escort them. If there are, the more of you stand by it, the faster it will move, capping at 3 heroes. So if you have 4 and 5, it's not moving any faster. You might as well just have 3 on it and potentially send 2 heroes to go do something else. But once they reach the destination, they will fire on the core.
I love that their paths intersect too, the two teams.
Yeah.
And you can literally get into that point where one of the team's payloads is blocking the path of the other, and it can't progress past there.
It makes me want a dueling payload map on Overwatch.
There are some interactions with this payload with certain heroes. Misha and Rexar count as 2 heroes, so you can move it in the 2 department of speed. Now, as we learn the map, you'll be able to figure out, not only through the fog of war, you can see the number of people pushing a payload, but also looking at the mini-map, you'll be able to tell the speed at it's going. It's very different. 3 feels very fast. And in that same note, Lost Vikings, 3 heroes, they push at full speed and count as all 3. Illusions don't. Even Samuro with Illusion Master does not push it faster than a single hero.
What about Cho'Gall?
Cho'Gall counts as a single hero right now.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
That seems consistent to me.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm actually surprised that Rexar counts as 2, though. I feel like I don't know. I don't know if I'm behind that.
Well,
I think the Lost Vikings, should count as multiples, but I don't know about Rexar.
I feel like if Lost Vikings count, then Rexar should count.
It's an interesting note because the map itself is very open, and there's not a lot of cover for someone like Rexar to remain safe. Granted, this week, all the Rexars I fought, and even the Rexar I played, was up against a Genji, and Genji just goes, hey, nice bear, and dashes through it, and now he's on your business, and you're just a poor little Rexar limping away. It doesn't go well. I am very interested, though, in the 2-lane mechanics of this map and what it means. We've already seen a lot of people saying, Lost Vikings, do the Lost Vikings, get Eric stealth so he can push the payload while stopping rhythmically, and if someone shows up to deny it, Eric goes into stealth and maintains it in the area so that it doesn't start walking backwards. That might be a single lane, 3 Vikings, all 1 lane. Is this going to be a religious top lane, bottom lane, solo lane? The really scary thing, though, when you get down to it, is to compare it to Towers of Doom. The protected core is awesome because it gives you this Hearthstone-like play. You can always give up early shots, early chances at the core to gather XP, to take mercenary camps, and then take it back on them. You're not losing keeps that are going to lose you the game as it goes on. However, since it's only 2 lanes, and you can take that furthest keep in the back, there's only 2 exits from the main spawn area, and you can lock people in if you win too hard. Is that a problem? Well, in Towers of Doom, you just lose if you lose everything. It stinks. You just start losing, and you're usually at 4 levels down. There's no way you're going to stop these single shots from going. Is this any different?
This map to me feels like it feels like there's more to learn here than with any of the previous maps. I feel like, especially the last 2 we got in the StarCraft event, they were wild new maps, but basically the core concepts were consistent with stuff that we had already done in the game. And it feels like this is the first, both with the new Merc mechanics,
which we haven't even touched on yet.
And with how payloads work and what you need to do to manage the payload and how you should divide your team up between your payload and the enemy's payload. all of that stuff feels like brand new concepts that I think are going to throw the player base for a loop for a while.
In particular, understanding that bar they gave us in the bottom right is really tough, and it can just look like a pile of things moving, and deciphering it can be difficult, but that's the place to start, is the empowered payloads conversation.
Yeah, which we haven't touched on. That's basically the point of destroying forts on this particular battleground. If you destroy a fort, you will cause the next payload to deal additional damage when it arrives at its destination. And if you kill keeps, it will cause sappers to spawn alongside your minion waves, which will fire on the core when they reach the end of the lane, which is nuts.
So there you go. There's your Towers of Doom. You've won too hard, so the game's going to end.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing about this battleground is the core only has 7 points of health, and each shot from a payload is 1 point of damage, more if it is empowered. This battleground already seems over rather quickly.
We said the same thing about a past battleground too, and I think it was Braxis, right? When we were first all learning that. This has even more to it. I can't count the number of times a payload has just snuck by me because we're all too busy dueling or pushing our own, and some Lost Vikings gets one in real quick. It does feel a little overwhelming right now. I do need to tell a little story, though, from the summit. For some reason, the casters couldn't stop working that night. And when we all started playing Genji games on Hanamura, they just started casting said games. Like with microphones, it was projected on the wall. I got a game cast we both did, by Dreadnought, by J-How. It was awesome. When the games became casted, when it went into the observer interface, that 7 turned into a 100%, and went down from there in 7th increments. And that felt great. And the second that happened, we all went, oh yeah, the game length's great. This is fantastic.
Huh. I wonder why they chose not to do that then for just the general, gameplay.
I mean, that to me seems like an oversight. Like it was just a bug with the observer UI. But I mean, having it say 7 and knowing that a shot does 1 point of damage makes more sense to me than it having it do 1/7 of damage to a 100% bar.
Right, but you don't get to know how many. I mean, I guess it's not the same thing. I was thinking cannonballs on Blackheart's Bay. You don't know how many cannonballs are going to total out the thing, but I guess that is different because the cannonballs are also hitting keeps and towers and things. So,
right,
I don't know.
It's an incremental thing. Yeah, it's different in that case. So I like the fact that they just show me 7 and it counts down from there as it takes damage.
Right.
It does just seem short. I'm sure they tested it internally and maybe like 8. It was just like, oh my god, guys, this game is going on for too long. It's Garden of Terror all over again.
But it's also a 2-lane map, and it's going to be an early game map. They're going to end quicker than 3 lanes because there's no extra lane to sneak off to and get XP and have a comeback in that way.
Yeah, and I'm not complaining actually. We played a lot of games on this battleground at the summit, and they were very fun and they were fast. And at the end of it, I still felt like I got my full Heroes experience at the end of each game.
Yeah, sorry.
Go for it.
I was going to say, and I've come back a couple of times in the few games that I've played on it already. So it's not a snowball map. At least it doesn't seem to be initially in the early going.
Yeah. I like the payload as an objective. I like the fact that it's always moving. This map seems like more than any other, you really need to keep your eye on that mini map. Every other objective in the game is pretty much sedentary. It's going to spawn in a set place. Yes, the location might be random, but once it's up, it's never moving. Cursed Hollow, the bell rings, go to the tribute. It's going to be 1 tribute every time. It's going to stay there until someone claims it. The payloads spawn, and a lot of things can still happen. You can get tunnel vision. You can get into a team fight, like Kyle said, and a Viking can go sneak it.
Yeah.
It is perfect, the range on these payloads, to me. It is just enough to not be ridiculous, like you're never going to get in there if you're not a warrior, but it's just big enough to make those squishy assassins think that they can possibly push it. So it's going to take a lot of self-control to see that thing and not want to just jump on it and start pushing it by yourself if you're a Jaina.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about the other big just monkey wrench being thrown into your understanding of the game called Heroes of the Storm that we've been playing for 3 years. Mercenary camps on Hanamura are insane. There's 3 types, and when you capture these mercenaries, they will not travel down the lane. They will not attack enemies. They will not try and siege forts and keeps. They instead will just die and disappear, and they'll be left like a coin type consumable in their stead that you have to right-click to channel to collect it, and then you get what they're calling a map mechanic ability. It's hotkeyed. It defaults to F. You press it to activate it. And so I said there's 3 different types of mercenaries. There's 3 different types of map mechanic abilities, and those abilities are as follows. If you take out a recon camp, you will be rewarded with dragon spirits, and if you press that, 3 dragon spirits will just fly out of your chest, because why not? And they seek out enemy heroes, and when they hit them, those heroes are revealed for a full 5 seconds. And we'll do that to 3 heroes, which is very cool. Gives you some sight. Feels Widowmaker-y to me. From Overwatch, you pull your visor down, you've got sight on the enemy team. There's the fortification camp. If you take that out, you get a turret, which you can place on the ground, or, God, they clearly play Overwatch over there. You can place it on the payload. You can put the turret on top of the payload. It will move with the payload. You can create your own Killdozer without a Torbjorn.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And that is the only time I want to see a squishy assassin trying to sneak a payload, is if you have a turret on top of it.
It favors heroes, and it has a cast time. And be very aware of that, because if you're trying to quickly drop this behind you and continue your stutter stepping, that's not going to happen, and you will die. And you will drop the item, which is now available to the other team to pick up.
Yes.
I'm ready for these to be retrofitted into some existing maps, man. I'm ready for turrets on other maps.
But what do you... are we going to, like, slap it on the head of the Dragon Knight as he marauds down the lane?
Yeah, this Dragon Knight has frickin' lasers on its head. No, but I mean, I don't know about being able to put it on. I mean, maybe you put it on the Garden of the Terror the Garden of Terror. But no, I just think that new level of strategy of where to place a turret, dropping a turret in a fight, having a turret as a usable item that can be fought over and won and lost between teams. I find that to be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm with you, and we didn't even talk about the last one, which in my opinion is the most ridiculous one. If you take out a support camp, you will get the healing pulse, and it restores 35% of your health, 23% of your mana to you and your allies over 15 seconds. That's a huge deal.
It is, and the comps I ran with amazing success yesterday were Genji double shield, so Zarya and Tassadar, with no straight health healer. Instead, we would grab a bribe hero who would fly around and bribe this camp, and particularly the support camp that gives you this heal, which is amazing and gives mana as well. It counts as one dude. It is one big guy. He casts a self-heal. He takes forever to kill with something like Rex, or even Sammy takes forever to kill him. But one stack of bribe will take this guy instantly. And you can, I did this with a Nova. I did it with a Brightwing healer. You can suddenly transform your comp completely and skip a healing support on this map if you want to.
Crazy.
It's nuts.
Crazy.
It's nuts.
And I just, that it's almost intimidating, the new information that teams have to be able to digest and work with and understand. Like, okay, well, we can now get into this fight because that Vala has the healing orb thing, magic that can help us all. It's that level of communication is not going to happen on solo queue, but you got to have that level of awareness to know what's going on. It's intense, and it's impressive. I think that Blizzard is willing to up the ante like that at a time when they're also trying to welcome in big swaths of new players.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for the new players that they come in. It's just, this is the game, as you've always known it.
Right.
I mean, that being said, if maybe you play every Battleground a couple times and then just are unlucky enough to not get Hanamura until like your 20th game, then you're just like, oh no, I have to learn all this stuff. But, I mean, really, at the end of the day, I think the question now is, can we rotate some maps out of the darn rotation? Can we retire some Battlegrounds? There's too many now. There's just too many. I wouldn't know where to begin teaching my friend how to wrap his brain around this game.
Right, and you have all the heroes and all their individual interactions. What does your hero do? What does your ally do? Can we make an engage here in the first place? Is there enough damage as you run in? No, you're tank and support, and you're missing a sustain in that particular mini comp while the burst is off doing something else.
Yeah, and then also, let's talk about all of these Battlegrounds. You need to learn about that too.
But
right.
This is really exciting for me because I love when certain heroes are empowered by a map, and something that can almost be laughable at times, like back in the day, Gazlo still had this little bit of a place on certain point control maps as long as that point wasn't moving. Now with Hanamura, it's going to be moving around. It's not exactly a Gazlo map. Nothing else but this turret you get from the camp is going to go on top of the payload. Can't load up Misha. You can't load up a Gazlo turret. But this is the map for Bribe. And that is so cool. I mean, granted, right now, Bribe has been a little cut down. Just doing math off the top of my head, I think it's 4 heroes at the moment. Murky, Brightwing, Nova, and Falstad. That's some major power to those 4 who maybe don't see a lot of map particular play.
Yeah.
It's all very good points. I mean, I'm very excited about Hanamura. This isn't me saying shut it down because of Hanamura. It's shut it down because of the number of Battlegrounds, and shut down other Battlegrounds, not this one. Bring it on. I can't wait.
I was a little disappointed that it at least I wasn't able to, or at least I didn't have the, anyway. It didn't seem like I could drop the turret on the enemy's payload.
No, you can.
Oh,
that would be cool.
That's unfortunate. You should be able to do that. Because you can just, why not? That'd be awesome.
The turrets do favor heroes, though, so if you drop them in a team fight, they won't get bogged down with lane minions or summons.
Well, that's good. That's good. Because, I mean, these mercenary camps, they're a risk. It's, I mean, think of all your current skirmishes over a mercenary camp. You're always like, oh, maybe I can get in there and sneak. If I'm a Falstad, I can Muddy Gust them away and steal their pad. That is not going to be happening when you got to channel this damn little coin. Someone's going to interrupt you, and you're going to die.
Right, that's an interesting part of it, is you do have to cap the mercenary camp, and then first of all, to say that is these things give a lot of XP. Mm-hmm. They seem to give more XP than any other map at the moment, which may be our secret third lane comeback mechanic kind of business.
Interesting.
Go take a bunch of merc camps, and that'll give you the levels you need to bounce back. But yeah, after you get the XP from it, you then have to channel the tiny item to get that bonus ability. And, well, right now, half the people are forgetting those exist, so that'll pass with time. But we are going to fight longer, even if it's taken, even if you face melt ETC everybody off the pad, they'll jump right back on it because they don't want you to have that ability, particularly if it's the heal.
Yep. I also think that it's going to take some learning curve just to know which merc camps do what. I think it's not super clear as to which power you're about to get. No,
absolutely. I mean, and that comes with any Battleground. Even when we had new mercenaries being added to the game, that was the case. It's just your typical learning curve of anything new. So I think over time we're just gonna memorize. This camp is the heal camp. This camp is the turret camp. This camp is the dragon camp, and no one's that excited about that particular camp.
Right.
So
unless you got those stealthies.
Yeah. So whatever the case is, that is our basic run-in of Hanamura. We will be talking about it a lot more over the coming weeks. Let's move on and real quick inform everyone, hey, if you haven't noticed, there's going to be a 2.0 launch event and new hero reveal on April 25th. It'll be happening at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's Tuesday, April 25th. We're getting a brand new cinematic. And within that cinematic is going to be a reveal for the next hero that is coming to the game. So this is obviously not Genji. This is some unknown hero. We're not lying to you. We do not know what it is.
Rather hilarious, though, because the new hero announcement was scheduled for 5 days after this particular video was shown. And then they realized, oh, the new hero's in the video we made.
Whoops.
Oops. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. Still no official launch date for 2.0, but we would assume the 25th, right? Right?
Launch event, it seems right, and also 2.0 is ready to go. They dropped the balance that was fermenting on there today that they put up with Genji. Genji's not in, Ariel's new Resurrect isn't in, new Uther isn't in today's patch.
And they teased us.
I think they're ready.
Yeah, they teased us. Uther's rework was in the notes, but it didn't make the patch. Ah!
Yeah, I know. Dude, that is who I've been playing the most on the PTR is new Uther. He is so much fun. He's so much fun. I really like him.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway, let's talk about that balance update, shall we? Move on to it. Cool. Lots to talk about here.
Yes.
Try and move through it relatively quickly. So Jeff, you're here. We're going to try something a little bit different. And with most of these heroes, we're going to lead with how that hero is performing in your league, in your world.
Okay.
So we're curious, and we're not going to talk about every single thing here in this balance update. It's too big; it would take too much time. We're just hitting some highlights. So starting with Cassia, who kind of received a buff pretty much to a good chunk of her abilities. You seeing Cassia at all, Jeff?
Yes, lots of Cassia, and Cassias are doing very, very well.
Oh, really?
It seems like a very popular hero, and it tends to be the case that new heroes, people don't know how to deal with them yet. There's like this buffer period of when people are just like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna run toward it. Maybe I won't die. No, you die. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of Cassias.
I could understand that because my God, Cassia punishes people with bad positioning.
Yeah,
you're standing in the wrong place. You're gonna eat the whole cone, and it's gonna suck.
And also that ult, the one that yanks you from the back into the front, I think comes out of nowhere for a lot of people, and you don't know kind of how to protect yourself against that, because it's like I'm standing in the back line like I'm supposed to.
Yeah, I mean there really isn't much of a way to protect yourself against it. We're gonna draft a Stitches and hope he can land his hook on you in a friendly manner.
Right.
That's how you do
Friend
that.
hook. Yank back.
Friendly hook.
It's the tug of war of a Kale toss.
Yep. Exactly. That's hilarious. Yep. Nope. My Kale toss. Nope. Mine. But yeah, Kyle, are you seeing Cassie? I can't tell you the last time I saw Cassie. I think it was the day she came out.
Yeah, not a lot in Hero League, here and there in Quick Match. She's always doing great damage. I've tried a full blind comp. It was enjoyable, but as we talked about, blinds are kind of in an odd place right now. This Fen damage helps, certainly. Or this cooldown decrease, I should say, in the mana cost reduced. But Ball of Lightning did get nerfed with a mana cost increase. It's level 20, got taken down a peg. So they're really trying to encourage more Valkyries, which could mean in certain comps, I'm always curious, is this an anti-chromie kind of thing with Valkyrie, now with a cooldown to 60 seconds instead of 90? Can we have that as a counter?
I love Valkyrie. 90 seconds was too long. They've cut it down to 60 seconds. That is that's a massive change in how frequently you'll be able to use this thing, not to mention they discounted the mana on top of it. So I still like Cassie. I'm not at a place where I'm going to take her into Hero League, but I like this change a lot.
She brings poke, which is direly needed in a lot of leagues. And if you can communicate with your team that it's cool with what you're doing, if Asmodean's solo pushing the bottom and it's Cursed Hollow and you're trying to make an engage but it's a 5v4, poke is what makes Asmodean's poor decision okay. Because now at least we can continue to interrupt from safety. Asmodean gets a fort, he takes down the wall, maybe he gets a keep, oh my goodness, and all of a sudden this bad strategy became an amazing one.
Yeah. So Greymane is next. Kind of the big point to mention here is that Inner Beast got a lesser version of Wolfheart essentially baked in, but you can still talent into it for a greater effect.
This is the one where your auto attacks reduce the cooldown of your Inner Beast. So, and Inner Beast, very much needed. Greymane has a rather slow attack speed, but has this fancy way to up it.
Yeah, and then the damage on Cursed Bullet went up as well. Jeff, you see any
I
gray
was
mains?
surprised to see lots of gray mains at Heroes of the Dorm because I never see gray mains. Never, never, never.
I feel like I could understand that if you're, I don't know, skittish in the world of heroes.
Right.
He's a bit of a glass cannon. So what
He's
about
a tough one.
Yeah. What about Nazebos? So we say he's always open because he's kind of silly looking. Is he cool enough to get the attention of those in the lower leagues?
I see lots of Nazebos. I mean, if you get a specialist in a game in Hero League at my level, it's chances are it's going to be a Nazebo. There or Sylvanas, but there's lots of Nazebos. That's for sure.
Yeah. So he more or less. So Kyle, we always go through here. We always mark nerf, buff, etc. Overall, so overall for Nazebo, it is a nerf. Save your emails, Toad lovers. His early game is a little bit better because of the buff to Toads, but his late game has been reined in.
A little bit. I mean, attack damage on Gargantuan. It's more about the burst slam when it's going for a sweet kill real quick. Superstition got taken down by 10%. Now 40% spell armor for him. Auto attack him. Everybody stop. Just kill him. It's cool. Use your tiny auto attacks if you're Chromie. It's cool. And then Vile Infection being the big one here. Got its required stacks to activate up to 175 from 150. Cool. I'm perfectly fine with all this.
I am too.
In all honesty.
Yeah, as someone who really just started for the first time putting effort into this hero, I was capping my 150 stacks rather quickly, and I'm kind of bad with this hero. So
right, either you were executing a plan on Blackheart's Bay on Tomb of the Spider Queen where you were going to be swimming in stacks in the first place, 200 by level 18, or the team went wrong and Sylvanas stole all your lanes, or people got confused. That's something that's happened in our own team league. We'll draft a Gul'dan and my tank player Johanna will see poison damage on everybody and they'll go, oh, excellent, let's kill them all. And no, that was his poison damage, not my the stacks. This does decrease the chance that Nazebo is going to sneak up on that level 20 power on a map that he shouldn't be able to do that on regularly. And if you choose to murk on Nazebo, you are 100% not taking Vile Infection at 20. But now you have a nice improved little Humongoid for your Gargantuan at level 20.
Yep. Ariel is next. How's she playing out for you, Jeff?
Yeah, you see a fair number of Ariels. I think people like the lane clear and some slight CC there. But yeah, I'm seeing a fair number of them.
Do you? I'm curious. Do you get worried when you see an Ariel picked, or are you stoked?
No, I neither. You never know on your own team. You never know about the Ariels. But yeah, no one ever wants to ban an Ariel or anything. It's not. There's a lot of support bans in my league. I don't know how about you guys, but everybody's banning supports. Lucio, Malfurion. There's only like 5 heroes that are acceptable to ban without people getting angry, and Lucio and Mal are 2 of them. So you see a lot more Rhaegars now, a lot more Ariels, some Lilies getting in there. So yeah,
I'm seeing quite a few Lilies today, as a matter of fact. I don't know what happened today, but today seemed to be Lily day for me in my games that I did. Oh, a buff. Okay, well that's what happened then. I did not pay attention to Lily because I never play her, and I feel like I never play against her. So. Anyway, so Ariel got buffed pretty much across the board. A bunch of tweaks in a good direction. I'm actually excited about this. Sacred Sweep had its damage increased, had the center damage increased. You got a damage bonus increase on the level 1 increased Clarity. Detainment Strike got a damage increase. The Terrain Collision damage on Detainment Strike got an increase. The Quest Reward damage bonus on Repeated Offense got an increase. A rather sizable one at that. They want you to be killing fools with Ariel, I guess. Or at least they want you second-guessing diving on that Ariel.
It's a really interesting change. I mean, increasing any of her damage is going to increase her hope. It's going to increase her healing output. Could this sort of sneak damage? It's pretty big, particularly when you get into level 1 quests. Put her into solo support status.
Yeah, and I know we weren't going to talk about it, but it's getting mentioned in the chat room. It's not actually in the game, but it did end up in the notes. What are your thoughts on the resurrect change, Kyle?
It's fun. It's interesting.
So
there is now a delay when they will res, but casting res is extremely quick. You will get it off. The level 20 augment is the longer that character that you res is alive, the faster your resurrect will come off cooldown. So there's some really cool stuff in here. You're still going to lose the XP. And the delay does help the counterplay. It means that this won't be oppressive if an ahead Ariel just keeps rezzing the same person. We'll just have to see what happens. This comboed with her new damage output could be a huge deal.
Yeah. Not to mention, more damage output equals more healing from her, too, that she's not depending on her crown target.
Exactly.
Always good. Brightwing finally getting her range ring around herself for Soothing Mist. So just a quality of that change. Yeah, I love it. And there's more of these throughout these notes. We'll talk more about it in a second. All right, let's talk about Lily real quick. Blinding Wind had the cooldown decreased by 2 full seconds. The mana cost reduced by a lot. 40 to 30, so a 25% change there. And the damage was increased on Blinding Wind as well.
Interesting time for this, given Cassia's buff as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I like that, Kyle. That'll be interesting for you, Jeff, since you're saying you're seeing both Cassia and Lily in your games.
Yeah, for sure.
This is something I'm really curious about. Is this the answer to blinds? Do sustain players or damagers who usually that you would counter with a blind, like a Vala or a Zul'jin, will this damage output be enough to not only shock them to stop attacking because the damage put on them, but now they can't attack on the background either. So if they receive that sort of support to survive through it, will it just be as detrimental? I like this a lot. I think Johanna put more damage on her blind. It's still fun to get that little tap blind as they run through a wall, and you're like, I got the kill with the blinding light. I'm awesome. But maybe that's the best way to do it. And blinds are being phased out, but giving it another edge.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that quite a bit. Tassadar getting reined in again. They can't stop messing with Mr. Tassadar. What do you think of these changes here, Kyle? There's quite a few of them, so I'll just let you kind of ramble.
Oh, man. Attack damage up by 2. All right. In all honesty, they're messing with Plasma Shield the most here. They've messed with his level 1 Kaidaran Resonance. Now, previously, it gave a cooldown decrease. Now, 2 levels of it increase the power of your shields, but mainly the duration has been decreased to 4 seconds on these shields. So there is absolutely no way you are going to overlap in most cases. Cooldown 8 seconds. Now with a 4-second duration, there's half the time that there's not a shield active. I saw a lot, I should say, of dead Tassadars on the beta. Tons of dead Tassadars. And it's tough. It's tough because Tassadars previously wanted to be the solo agent for so long, solo laner, in fact. But then with their Archon form getting power back into it, a lot of them play the style where they keep putting the shields on themselves. I need the shields so I can do my creative business, and then I'll go away with Dimensional Shift. Will they still be able to play to that style? I still want the Tassadars to help carry the carry that we got the Tassadar in the first place. So I think there's going to be a lot of errors. And I would recommend, if you're going to be playing this weekend in particular, try to talk people out of Tassadar a little bit. It's a big change. It's like your Warriors, you take 200 health off him. It's very different. This is going to be a huge rhythm shift.
I have a story real quick from today. So Kyle, you and I played some games. After that, I finally started my placement games. Played 3 of them, as a matter of fact. In my very first game, whoo boy, was I going in with opinions after the draft. So we went second, which meant our team got to do 2 picks side by side. I was not part of that initial thing. Instant lock-in of Probius and Valera on Dragonshire. And I'm just sitting here going, I don't know about that. I don't know about that, especially the Valera pick. And then the other team picks, bam, Tassadar. And I hadn't taken a close look at these notes yet, so I was just like, and instant countered. And then at the end of all of this draft, by the way, I was just like, shoot, we need a bruiser, and they banned everyone I wanted to play, so I ended up on Sonya, who I'm not the most practiced with, if I'm being honest. Guys, we walked completely over that team. It didn't matter. Tassadar could reveal Valera all he wanted. It didn't matter. We destroyed. I had top damage by like a factor of 10K. It was ridiculous.
That's
let's
had
be
a
honest
very
here.
similar. Sorry. Go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
Probius is nuts right now.
Yeah, but
Third highest win rate.
Yeah, but I was sitting there. Man, I saw the Valera pick. I'm just like, nope, no, why? But it worked out really well. At one point, we were 5 levels ahead.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. It was very brief, but it happened. It happened.
It had a very similar thing where the other team had 2 stealthies, a Valera and I don't know, Zeratul or something. And our guy on my team was like, "Don't worry about this, guys. Got this. Tassadar, boom, no problem." We got owned.
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
The only difference was now we could see them killing us.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So yeah, I've been. I think I'm gonna think about that Sonya a little bit more. That's what I'm gonna do.
He's good.
Seemed to really work out and just clicks. Just clicks. Anubarak got some changes. Reined in, but he also got range indicators. More of them on Burrow Charge, on Locust Swarm, on I've never been able to pronounce this. Urticating Spines.
You did it. Nice job.
Oh, nice. There we go. Nice. Very cool. I always want to call them undulating spines. I don't know why. But I'm stoked. I'm stoked about all of that. But Subterranean Shield, man. Shield amount reduced. Shield's just getting punched in the gut in this patch.
Nerf Tavarian. Side nerf Tavarian.
Side nerf Tavarian.
Yeah, our only shield breaker in the game.
Yeah, but he's too busy yelling in the distance and then dying. So
Colossus smashing a 1v5.
When did that become a thing? By the way, we saw it twice in 2 days. What?
I do not know. I can only assume that Colossus smash is fun, more fun than taunt, which is bizarre to me because taunt's incredible. There's nothing like taunting a Li Ming who's auto attacking you now and standing still, and there's follow up to it and everything. But that's the thing, right? It is a difficult tactical decision to think about the damage that you're actually able to do. I mean, that particular variant we're sort of joking about. After he died 1v5, he said, Lunara slow OP. That wasn't the factor there. You went into an engagement with not enough damage to complete your engagement. There was nothing that was going to happen there in the first place.
Yeah.
That's the tough part for me right now is, amassing this knowledge, but then seeing on Battlefield of Eternity Greymane go in laning during the objective. It's just such a simple task to think to yourself, what is my hero best at? I will do that at that moment. Am I a healer? Am I best at lane clear? No. Does it stink that lane clear is not being done? Yes. Leave it. Someone else will cover it, or they won't at all, and you'll be part of that team fight that you should have been a part of in the first place.
Next here, I'm actually really curious to hear from you, Jeff. ETC.
Well, ETC was he was a stalwart. In fact, I leveled him to 10 just right before his last nerf, and because I have this great talent of picking a character right before they get nerfed to get good at. And so I was playing a ton of ETC. ETC was all over the place. ETC was like ban material, and then we got that nerf, and then he's kind of fallen off precipitously. You see much more dual tank stuff. You see lots of Zaryas and Artanises and lots of Diablos, and a lot fewer ETCs than I've ever seen in this game, and lots of Anubaraks. Actually, I'm seeing way more Anubaraks than I ever used to.
I get. I like Anubarak, man. I picked him up for the first time yesterday in a long time, and that was one of the few wins I got to enjoy with Kyle on TBK.
Yeah, man, I have a good time playing Anubarak as well. I mean, I love web wrapping. The guy who's like being awesome and running into the middle and just being like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, timeout. You get a timeout.
Yeah, I like that too. So ETC got buffed, but don't get too excited. He's still under where he was before.
They gave him 80 health.
Yeah, like what the? This is not enough. This is not even close to enough. So his health. Usually, I don't talk specific numbers because it's whatever. But I feel to illustrate the lack of breath in my voice. So he was taken down from 2,428 base health down to 2,100 with the last nerf. Okay. So now he's sitting at 2,100, and they brought him up 80 points to 2,180. They also brought his health regeneration up.
Sweet spot.
Yeah. So, no. Just no. Still not good enough.
Somebody has a spreadsheet, though, that says that 80 is what it needs. You know? There's some spreadsheet somewhere in Blizzard's headquarters that says, you know what? 70 too few, 90 too many.
He did recover a little bit this week. He was down a full 7%. Now he's down 4.8%. So things are getting a little better as people figured it out. That's still a 41% win rate. It's not what you want on a map.
It's not what you want on anyone except Medivh, because we just go, yeah, it's Medivh.
I do like that they gave some of his damage back. Pinball Wizard got a buff. Hammer-On got a buff. The real blow here is his overall health and truly Echo Pedal missing and not being touched once again.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like the damage increases too. I don't think it's enough if they're not going to give him more health. So on to Stitches.
Speaking of health,
Stitches is one of those heroes. If we're talking about our own personal experiences, I never see until I do. It always just randomly happens. It's always
he's got to be in the docket for a rework, right? There's got to be a Stitches rework in the offing because there's no discussion of Stitches. It just feels like some excitement's got to be brought to that guy.
And I don't know what it is because every now and then a Stitches just pops back up in my draft or in my unranked draft or in my quick match. It's not all the time, but it happens a few times a month. And generally, that Stitches is solid. There used to be a time where I saw Stitches in the Master Skin, and I'm like, oh, you just came back after some big change, didn't you? But now, for me, it's like Chen territory, except I see Chen more. But I don't know what it is. Anyway, his health has been increased by 100. ETC's sitting on the sideline going, what the hell, guys? I get 80. And Stitches gets 100. His health regen went up as well, and Slam does more damage.
Stitches will make a comeback when we exit a more divey meta. And for me, the biggest killer of Stitches was the Malfurion rework, where they made Twilight Dream a thing. Because if you hook a Malfurion, you just messed up and you killed everybody.
Well, just get the Malfurion as your healer, and you hook into the roots, and game over.
Right, that's the tough thing about solo queue is you have to have trust of that Stitches in the first place. The Master Skin helps. That goes away next week in some regards. I'm a little afraid of that because that is information that I glean and try to make decisions off him. He needs a lot of CC. People think he's got it with the hook. No, you need a follow-up, and that's difficult. If he has a Valeera haunting near him when he makes these hooks, incredible. But chances are you're going to get your last picks as a tank or support in most comps anyway, unless the bans avoided them, and then it's Malfurion and Lucio early on. The tanks will come later. However, at that point, with top win rate, Sonya, Anubarak, Stitches just doesn't have a place.
Can I make a quick side suggestion for what they should do to fix the Master Skin problem? I don't understand. Maybe you guys can explain to me why this would be a bad idea, but I don't understand why when I select a hero in the draft and I see the portrait, since now there's no upper limit to leveling that hero, why don't I just see the level of hero that I have for that hero? Why when someone selects it in the draft, can I not just see what level of hero they are?
Right, is that approaching some sort of inflammatory area where, no, not that hero, it's too low, but I've been working on it just this week, so I'm level 5, but I've put all my work into it. I see why they'd be scared. There's so many options to give us that feeling, whether it's through the borders they've talked about. It's certainly not the master taunts. That is flavorful, and I do like it as its own thing, but it doesn't fulfill this world. I would like titles, World of Warcraft style. In fact, we'll be talking a little bit about these gigantic mega bundles coming out, but it reminded me once again that every hero has a title to them. It's, Raynor, the Raider, or whatever, it's the Amazon War Matron. Like, what if when you picked Cassia, it said Amazon War Matron instead of Cassia because you were master? Or Arthas would get a nice little The Lich King rather than Arthas, or in front of the name. There's so many options to make this work.
I like that. That's awesome.
I'm going to refer back to my belief in Agent K from Men in Black. If you give people too much information, people are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it, Jeff Cannata.
Oh, I know it, but I still want more information. I'm dumb and panicky enough to want the information.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree with your thoughts there, Kyle. Like a level 5, level 5 doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. There could be a level 10 that hasn't played for 6 months and a level 5 that's been focusing on that hero that week. I want the level 5 that focused on that hero this week. But
it's tough too. It's a game of interactions, and we can see this with Alarak's pick rate right now moving up. Why? It doesn't make immediate sense until you think about Ragnaros moving out of bans with the nerfs he's had. All those Ragnaros have said, oh, finally, Ragnaros is available. Supports are, oh, wait, my Ragnaros stinks. I didn't play him, and he got nerfed multiple times. Who's the best solo laner? Oh, it's Alarak. Everyone's saying Alarak now, so everybody jumps on him. Players are getting good at him really quick. Is that okay? Do we need to be concerned about showing that level at that point for these meta chasers?
I still want it, guys. I still want it.
All right. Cool. I mean, I would like to know that aliens exist if they do. So bring it on, government. All right. Last hero we'll talk about in this balance update, Zarya. Because the hits just have to keep on coming to shields. It sounds like you've been seeing quite a bit of Zarya, Jeff, from your very top of the show comments on just wait, guys, just wait. Why aren't you waiting? You're not going to wait.
It is so much fun to 1v1 a Zarya in silver that just runs at you and puts the shields up, and all you do is just like take a couple of steps, wait, don't even attack, just hang out for a second, shields go away, and then Zarya's like, oh, wait, what? Where am I? What am I standing next to?
What is this? This does not compute. This isn't how this goes. You're supposed to...
Yeah, you didn't hit me once when I had my shield up. What? Oh, no.
What?
It's so fun.
So sad. I've been playing a lot of Zarya myself, and it's just so disappointing because you could be destroying the enemy team with your poke, but they were smart. They didn't target you, and now you're throwing feathers at them. It's just take that.
Yep. 100%. So anyway, so her trait, her energy now decays 0.5 point more per second. However, your graviton surge, that's a good thing. Your cooldown has been reduced. It's down to 80 seconds on that cooldown.
Such a sad little ult.
Yeah.
I know it's probably the first person perspective in Overwatch, but my world is interrupted, and they broke through the door and threw me on the floor and destroyed my computer. Whereas in Heroes, do you have Bolt? Do you have a short range teleport? Are you Muradin? Like, everything gets you out of Graviton Surge.
Yeah, it does. Although, Kyle, you play Zul'jins a lot, so I'm surprised.
And I'm playing even less of them right now because mobility continues to be a factor as I've climbed.
It's a very good point.
Feels like, though, I mean, I see people trying to use it as a way to zone more than really to capture anybody or trap the team, or it's like, stay away from this spot for a few seconds.
Good. Well, there's this thing called Expulsion Zone that is really good at zoning, and it does a lot of damage. A lot of damage.
Yeah, it's kind of divine palm in that way, right? Like if it doesn't activate, but they still get away, it's still kind of a good thing. Like if no one gets caught in your graviton surge, but you still manage to get a hold of the objective as a result, I mean, that's fine.
Right, we're fighting a 45-second damage heroic with a now 80-second. It's getting there. I would not want Graviton Surge to be the same cooldown as Expulsion Zone. I believe Expulsion Zone should be a little more frequent and a bit tougher to use.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, anyways, shall we move away from the balance update?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, before we move on, I want to take a break here, a small break, and thank our patrons of our patreon.com/ITN. And we've received another surge as of recently. That many new patrons have shown up, and we are now very close to our goal of getting Dunk Train on the show once a month, much like Mr. Jeff Cannata here. So
yeah, I have to, in particular, thank the patrons, because without them, I wouldn't have the opportunity to be here. And I certainly appreciate everybody stepping up to the plate and finding value in the show, value that I find as well, and showing that in a real tangible way and making it possible for me to be here. So I'm grateful.
And now one of our patrons are digging for that quote a couple episodes ago where you're like, I'd do it for free.
Well, I would, but it's nice that I don't have to.
Yes, it is. It is very nice. So thank you to our patrons. If you enjoy the show, check out patreon.com/ITN and consider supporting us. Only need a few more bucks to hit our next goal. This week, let's thank Kevin L., Benjamin S., Matthew, no last name given, Ray O., and Goran C. Thank you all so much for supporting. And, of course, thank you to our Patreon producers, Declan H., Cheesy Bob, and Mythdoll. All right, moving on. Mega bundles, guys. And I just want to talk about how the sausage that is Into the Nexus is made real quick. Kyle and I were both in the show notes this afternoon staring down this wall of a balance update and Genji and Hanamura and knowing all of the stuff we're going to have to talk about today. And this also came out. So this will be available starting April 25th, most likely 2.0 launch day. Wink, wink. All signs point to this. Why don't we have an official announcement yet? And it will be running through May 22nd. And what it is that there will be multiple of these bundles. Each bundle contains 20 heroes and also has its own unique theme. And just for logging in, you're going to get enough free gems to unlock one mega bundle of your choice when 2.0 goes live in your region. And the phrasing they used here was after April 25th. So,
and you say they each have their own unique theme. Doesn't it seem like the themes are directly targeting people that play other MOBAs? It's like, hey, we'll speak to you in your terms. So if you want to jump over here and you are a specific kind of player, we got you.
A little bit. Kyle, you're the oldest MOBA player here. What say you?
I mean, I'm really excited about this, of course, for new players. They've divided into Assassin, Flex, Support and Specialist together, and Tank and Bruiser together. So you will select one of these. You will get 100 gems, not a ton to run away with, but this costs 100 gems. You get to pick one of the four. You can't get all four. You get to pick one, and they even have like a nice little Harry Potter, which house are you quiz at the bottom of this webpage if you're confused about what might be your playstyle, just like those old Harry Potter quizzes. Stabbing people means you end up in Slytherin, and here it means you end up as Assassin. So it's pretty easy to game the system if you really want to.
And because I play a lot of Brightwing, I'm definitely a Hufflepuff.
But Brightwing is one of the most murderous characters in this game.
Yeah, but Hufflepuff.
I think he's on point. Whereas Uther, with all these decisions to make, it's a bit of a riddle, more of a Ravenclaw kind of thing. I would Fury, and you gotta have bravery. You gotta go in there and do that Twilight Dream.
Okay, I again would love to get off topic right here and say that the Pottermore quiz is rather nuanced. It doesn't ask you if you want to stab people, and I still ended up in Slytherin.
Well, that's just because you really want to stab people.
Yeah.
I don't want to stab them. I want to cast a killing curse on them. Come on.
Let's talk about the dark side, though. It is highly smurfable.
Oh, good point.
Yes.
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't even think about that either. You're right. We could go on our Smurf accounts, Kyle, and just be like, cool, 20 heroes.
It makes me want to do that just to see where I would place.
And why wouldn't you? There's no reason not to make a Smurf account, log in, have this huge pile of heroes. Granted, it'll take you a while to get them leveled up, get into that ranked mode system, but it's there, it's set. I think this speaks, the positive to me really is that it speaks to World of Warcraft players too, MOBA players certainly. In fact, interestingly enough, Dota released an update today where in order to play ranked, you have to tie a phone number, a unique phone number to your account. And that's how they're going to get rid of the Smurf problem they're having.
Are they though? Because you can just go make like a Google phone number for free.
Yeah, you could, right, and go through that extra step.
It's not that hard. It's about as hard as making an extra email to get my coupon for my favorite sushi place locally.
That sounded very specific.
It is very specific. And you wonder why I have every permeation of Garrett emails with a bunch of different numbers. So.
You look like the same guy that was in here yesterday with that coupon.
Yeah, whatever the case is, I love this. This is great. And hey, if you have every hero in the game, well, you got some free gems.
Yep, these will not open up into shards. You will not get much for owning every hero already. But at this point, I'm getting a lot anyway, and I've been loving this game for 3 years.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I looked at the list and I was like, oh, there's really no reason for me to get any of these because I have all the characters. But it's cool, and it really does seem to me that Blizzard is just synergizing everything for this moment to really push heroes. You know, they got this big 2.0. It really feels like a jumping on point for a lot of people. We have Overwatch is owning the world and is in everybody's mind share. And they're, you know, bringing in an Overwatch map and an Overwatch, one of the most popular Overwatch heroes. And it give you tons of characters for free. And just, feels like all in on heroes, and I really hope it works. I would love to see the player base expand dramatically, even if it requires some you know, short-term growing pains and us all, you know, having to play with a lot of inexperienced people. I think ultimately it could be a really exciting time.
Yeah.
And this could be really healthy for the game itself if we start identifying as these assassin flex labels in a sort of World of Warcraft style. And, you know, there's this whole idea of, you know, oh, I'm a Gul'dan main. Well, not really. The game doesn't work that way. You got to be open. But can you be an assassin main? Sure, maybe. Is that something we should note when we queue up eventually?
Well, I think in order for that to happen, we need to be able to draft out of order.
Very true.
Yeah. Yeah, because right now, you know, with the bans going to supports, for example, which hasn't happened in a long time, you know, I agree 100%. And we brought this up at in our interview at the summit, and it doesn't seem like something they're considering anytime soon. And I just go for it. I don't care. Let the chaos. Let whoever's quickest on the trigger lock in.
I will say that inexperienced drafters draft better in order, because they're thinking about their map priorities more rather than dogging onto a single fun dude.
That's a good point, but I don't know. There's a lot of problems with it, right? But
of course,
man, sometimes I would really like that freedom.
But the important thing is here, this is an amazing promotion for a free-to-play game, and there is a ton of value to get out of this. You should probably pick the Assassin Bundle if you're just min-maxing, because that has a lot of expensive characters in it and will leave you with the least amount of gold to spend on the after end.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Other than that, though, if you are actually new or you need heroes, I would go with whatever one interests you the most and has heroes you actually enjoy playing.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
yeah, and I'm pleased, as you said, that it is divided into role rather than like the Diablo bundle and the Overwatch bundle and the Warcraft bundle. I think they could have gone that way, and I'm glad they did not.
Yeah, although you would have gotten really screwed if you went with the Overwatch bundle.
It's true. And 12 characters to come.
Actually, the worst one would have been Classic Blizzard bundle.
There you go.
And then final thing for today, pretty much, is the announcement of Try Hard for Good. This is a challenge going out officially by Blizzard, We're going to have 3 pro League of Legends players coached by 3 pro Heroes players, ranking up in Heroes of the Storm for a good cause, specifically Make-A-Wish. And there's certain goals at certain levels. If they reach gold, $500 is donated. If they reach platinum, it's $1,500. If they reach diamond, it's $2,000. Platinum ranks 1 through 5. Each rank rewards $500 each. $3,500 for reaching master. $5,000 for reaching grandmaster.
And these stack too. I mean,
Yes.
This is just a giant charity run thing, and it is sneaky, Blizzard. This is devilish, and I love it.
How is it sneaky?
They are getting League of Legends huge number streamers to play Heroes of the Storm for about 3 weeks on their channel.
Yep. It's a good strategy. I like it a lot. We've got and I don't know League of Legends players, so I'm going to butcher these names. But we've got Dyrus being coached by Chu Ain't. We have Skara being coached by Dunk Train, and we have Voyboy being coached by KO. This is going to be
The first
nuts.
week will be very interesting, and this is going to be an amazing learning tool. April 25th to May 1st, the coaches will be streaming along with these guys and teaching them how to play. After that, they're on their own to figure out this game and climb as much as they can for charity. But to give you a small glimpse of the numbers difference between Heroes streaming and League of Legends, Chu8, one of the coaches here, and certainly one of the top streamers for Heroes of the Storm, has about 111,000 followers. This Dyrus guy sitting on 1.23 million.
Yeah. Yes. That is a difference. That is a difference. Yeah, I was telling you guys before the show that I got to meet a couple of these dudes. I hosted a stream for Mountain Dew and Microsoft last year, and Dyrus and Skaro were both there. And it's really cool. I think it's going to be interesting to see them playing the game. Both of them struck me as guys that will not curb their opinions in any way. So it's going to be interesting to see what they make of the game and what their followers make of it. And because in a very similar way, the thing that I met them through, they were forced to play games they don't normally play. They were asked, to play these Microsoft games that they don't normally play. And it was an interesting experience seeing how their audience reacted to it and how they reacted to it. So I think this could be a really positive thing for Heroes if these guys actually dig the game. And I certainly hope they do.
Well, whatever the case is, it's a lot of potential money going to a really good cause. I can't imagine that these players playing Heroes for 3 weeks aren't going to rank up relatively quickly.
Well, and that's the perfect amount of time because winners like this won't stand for a joke for very long. And they got to do this for 3 straight weeks. They're going to get good at this game. And they will not take easy losses. Even if they, think the game is trash or whatever, they will become good with the help of these coaches.
Yeah.
And that learning tool for our audience, but also the possible switchover that's there, maybe showing League of Legends players this game's a little shorter. It's very dynamic. There's multiple maps. There's so many seductive things that Heroes brings to old MOBA.
Yeah, from a marketing PR perspective, this is a masterstroke. Whoever came up with this idea needs a high five because this is pretty brilliant.
Yeah. Well, also, if scheduling goes correctly, and this is whether or not we hit our goal, Dunk will be coming on our show in 2 weeks. So we'll get to talk to him about coaching Skara and how that went.
Oh, fantastic. And new Uther, too.
Yes.
Sounds like people listening to this need to step up and hit that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So we
Get on
can
that
keep
goal.
have that happening. But I hit him up and was like, "Yo, you got time to come on? We haven't hit the goal yet." But he's like, "Of course, yeah, sure." So he's coming on even though we haven't hit the goal, which is super dope. So,
but if you don't hit the goal, maybe he won't, right, guys?
Right.
So
right.
you should definitely hit that goal.
If we're gonna just break the wall entirely, and I'm just gonna say that in my pitch, I was trying to play up Dunk as the good guy that will come on just because of his pure passion, which he
But
honestly
he might
would.
not,
But
because you
it
need to hit
would
that
be
goal.
awesome if we could pay him, which would be really dope. So, whatever the case is, patrons, you're awesome, and we're really close, and I know we're gonna hit it. So thanks. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this meaty episode of Into the Nexus. Guys, we're very likely going to have a lot to talk about next week. This time, Kyle, you and I might even have to do an emergency loot box opening stream. People have been asking. The public want it.
People want to see that?
People want to see it, man. I know this is new to you. But take it from me, as someone who has a Hearthstone podcast and still doesn't get it. People love people watching open digital boxes of random stuff.
Oh, man. So let me ask you guys this question. What will it take to not re-roll a loot box? What do you have to have to re-roll? What do you have to not re-roll?
Oh, my answer is very easy. If Monkey Brightwing is in my box, it is getting re-rolled every time. I don't care what else is in there. I don't care if it's
You could disenchant that. Don't worry about it.
Can you disenchant it? I thought you could only.
No, there are no disenchants.
Okay, I was about to say.
If you had multiples, if you got
well,
duplicates.
no.
Oh, right, yes.
No,
yeah.
I don't want it.
Once Garrett, so his first Monkey Bright's wing skin, he should hold on to,
Right.
so he never has to face it again.
Exactly.
No, I do not want it on my account. I don't want it. That and Lost Vikings, the hero.
But that's just, you're just creating a situation where you get more Monkey Brights that's going to constantly haunt you.
But you still see it when you open it, even if you already have it.
But he's also stealing gold from you that way.
No.
Here, let's say it this way. What is the thing you want most in 2.0 as a cosmetic item?
The black Diablo 3 Diablo skin. Because it looks...
What if it is in the same loot box?
Rolling it. I'm re-rolling it. I'm re-rolling it right then and there.
At least you're a man of principle.
Sophie's choice.
There's no choice. That monkey must die. It is the worst skin ever.
I paid real human money for that Monkey Brightwing skin.
Wow.
That's because I, Garrett, am a proud Hufflepuff.
Nothing is Hufflepuff. That monkey is nightmare fuel. So, anyway, Kyle, what will take for you to re-roll a box?
I'm basically roll anything that is an infested Tychus at this point.
But you
Or
already
Tychus, that is.
You already have infested Tychus.
I know. And if I get, some prisoner Tychus or anything where he's human, that's out.
Oh, gotcha. If you get any of the other Tychuses, you're just like, I don't need this. It's pointless. I do like his human. There was a new skin on the build we played. His human form had like the traditional black and white jail colors on his legs. I like that one. It looked cool.
Did you guys see that gorgeous new Ariel skin?
Yes.
Stunning.
Yeah, it's really nice. So was the new Star Princess Li Ming. Looks really good. Solid design. The redesigned Kael'thas, he's all steampunk and he's actually like a robot. That one's really cool. There's a new...
I still want superhero Kael'thas real bad. I almost bought him and then I talked myself out of it.
They need to stop beating around the bush and give us some like straight up Super Saiyan Dragon Ball Z skins for some of these elven characters.
Did y'all see this week, actually, the Ariel one we saw at the build at the summit, so we had to be quiet about that one. But the brand new one to me this week was the Robo Zarya thing going on. That thing is slick.
Oh, yeah.
And it has the Sand King Tassadar problem, in a sense, that the shields are purple. Like deep purple rather than pinkish. So they're kind of sneaky. Kind of like that superhero Kael'thas you were just talking about. Changing the rings or the color of a shield can throw you for a bit of a loop.
Oh, worse than that, I think, is the living bomb on that.
Yeah.
The living bomb, people don't know they have it because it doesn't look like fire.
Oh, and if a Kael'thas is on the same team as a Thrall with the like elemental skin,
Yes.
it makes it look like you have a living bomb on you.
Yeah.
That one drives me nuts.
You run away from that Thrall all the time.
Yeah, they need to work on that a little bit. I wouldn't mind a little more consistency in my spell effects, but Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of really cool stuff. I want more of the Overwatch skins that are in Overwatch. Like that Zarya's okay to me. I want like the industrial metalhead Zarya that is in the game of Overwatch. It's such a great skin. Why isn't it in Heroes of the Storm? Rant over. So anyway, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you again, patrons over at patreon.com/ITN. Catch us live Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time over at twitch.tv/AMoveTV. You can also catch a mobile live stream virtually on any device thanks to alphageekmedia.com. Our Twitter is at ITNcast, and we got to thank Gorath for our intro music and BrianGriffithMusic.com for our outro music. Jeff, you are our returning guest this week, so where can folks find your work?
Well, lots of places, actually. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Jeff Cannata, which is spelled with 2 N's and 1 T. I have a weekly video game show called DLC, which you can find at 5by5.tv/DLC. And I have a daily video game show, short, quick hits that you can find on Anchor. It's called Newest, Latest, Best, and you can find that at anchor.fm/NLB.
Awesome, man. As always, I'd like to throw out there that I'm a big fan of DLC. I don't have a lot of time to listen to podcasts anymore, but I do try and catch DLC every week, so I highly recommend it.
Oh, thank you. And Garrett was actually on a couple of weeks ago.
That I was. If you want to, if you love JRPGs and want a reason to hate me, go listen to that episode.
I have to get you on too, Kyle. I would love to have you on as well.
That'd be fantastic.
Kyle would be great on there. Kyle, how about yourself?
This week, I would like to promote my weekend streams. Tomorrow there'll be a bonus stream. Don't normally stream on Friday, but we got to get that solo queue games in there. So that'll be happening at 1 p.m. Pacific tomorrow over at twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson. And of course, Team League this weekend. And last week I smurfed for it. My players really liked it. We didn't fight Grandmasters. So I was on Kicking Panda, a donated gold Smurf account, very entrenched in its gold, previously silver MMR. As playing it, I've moved it up to gold already, but my players went 4-1, and they liked that a little better than the 1-4 we did the previous week, where we fought Grandmasters. So I think I'll keep smurfing for those guys for now, until we get them leagued up a little bit.
Ah, all right. I like that.
Oh, can I say one more quick thing? I'm also streaming some of my Heroes play. If you want to see the struggle, I know it's more fun to watch people who have skills. But if you want to see the struggle is real. If you want to see me try to stay positive and don't die, I stream on Caffeine. You can find that at caffeine.tv/Jeff Cannata.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Folks, I'm all around the place, but every podcast I do can be found at amove.tv. I'm going to break from the video games this week. If I'm going to promote one thing in particular, I would like to promote the latest episode of Let's Talk About Star Wars with Tom Barrett, Jenny Josephson, and myself, where we sat down and talked about all of the things that got announced at Star Wars Celebration. It was particularly a hilarious episode because Tom and Jenny watched it from home in Southern California and knew way more than I did about the convention that I was at. So,
just like BlizzCon.
Just like it, dude. No, not just like BlizzCon. To a much greater divide. Much greater. But go check that out. It's Let's Talk About Star Wars. And I can be found on Twitter at Garrett Art. And if you need a graphic designer, check out nomoonart.com for my graphic design portfolio. That is going to do it for this week's episode of Into the Nexus. We will be back next week, possibly even earlier. Follow our Twitch channels, twitch.tv/AMoveTV or twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson for a potential loot box opening. We don't know when this is releasing. Even if we did know the day, we don't know what time. It's going to be seat of our pants if it even happens, but follow those Twitch channels to know when we go live. Until next time, everyone, good luck and have fun.
Take care.
I was expecting Jeff to go, stay positive, don't die.
Stay positive, don't die. Yeah.